Hi, I'm Paul Gamble, and I'm part of Gecko Team 7, here to showcase our project, Habit Tracker. So just a simple walkthrough of when a user first will see our application. They're presented this login screen. We decided just to go with Google authentication, and this uses Firebase. It's a platform that Google handles, but we use just the authentication portion of Firebase. Once you select your Google account, you'll be presented with our application. So a few things we have going on here. We've taken your name and profile picture if you've set one up on your Google account. We present just a simple hamburger button in the left-hand corner here to give you some more information about what to expect, and we just included one resource that we used. And there's also a user section. The whole purpose of this application is to track a habit. So because this is a first-time login and I haven't had a habit created, I'm presented with the Create New Habit button right on the dashboard. The user will create a habit they want to track. So in this case, we're going to say coding every day. SMART goal, we include a section where you can actually stipulate a SMART goal, not just what your habit you're trying to create, but what your goal is. For the next 90 days, I will code every day. Then we indicate the length of time in months. So in this case, I'm just going to pick 3. And then I'm going to pick the interval of when I'm going to check in my habit. I'm going to select daily, and then I'm going to start tracking. And that's it. I've created my habit. I'm still presented the empty calendar here with a heat map, similar to one you would see on Github, for example. So in this case, I'm going to check in for the day. This is the daily check-in form that the user is presented. Made these mood options and how they thought they did that day. Rather than just doing a binary, yes, did you do your habit, or no, did your habit, we thought there was varying degrees. Killed it, they actually did their habit really well. They completed, meaning they just checked off the box just to meet the criteria. They tried, failed means they tried but they didn't do it, and skipped. We considered that if you were on vacation or if you had to take a sick day. So in this case, I'm gonna say that I killed it today on my check-in. How was my mood? Did you do your habit that day? But also, how were you feeling? So today I felt productive and energetic. What went well? What did you fail? I learned more about React. Personal notes, always commit to GitHub. I click submit, okay, and boom. Now I have the information checked in for my daily habit. This tooltip that hovers on the box will say, I killed it. It'll indicate the date, and then some habit information down here. So that's a simple walkthrough of our application. That was basically our MVP, our minimal viable product. We wanted to make sure that a user could log in using their Google account, that they could create a new habit, that they could check in, and that their check-ins would be reflected in a stats or progress widget of some form. And we used React calendar heat map. So we decided to go with the MERN technical stack. So that's MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. The MongoDB was decided by one of our teammates. He was really familiar with setting up a non-SQL. We decided to host it on a free platform, so MongoDB Atlas. There used to be one called MLab, but they were acquired by the same company. So MongoDB Atlas is what we used. For Express, we set up a simple server and API by one of our teammates there, and that seemed relatively easy the way he had set it up. We decided to go with React. One of our teammates, she was really familiar as far as designing things in React, and we all wanted to learn React. That was actually our objective for this project. And Node, they handle the things in the back end. And it was a great stack to learn. It was very solid. The first week, we actually were trying to figure out our workflow. So basically, the GitHub workflow, forking our repo, doing pull requests, creating new branches, setting up our remotes. That was basically our first week, just getting to know each other and setting that up. Then our second week was actually our second and third, a little bit of our third week, we were trying to just get things hosted. We decided to go with Heroku as our hosting platform. We also decided to use Travis CI as part of our continuous integration. So both of these were relatively easy to set up. That took about week 2, week 3 to get things nice and streamlined. For Heroku, we actually you could set up a pipeline. So basically we attached our development branch as one app on Heroku, and then we set up our master branch for what we're showcasing for this Chingu Voyage. So the entire time we kept checking with not only our local builds every time we did a pull from the upstream that we set up for our development branch, but we also checked in what did it look like on our Heroku hosting platform. As far as the meetings, we all attended the meetings. A few weeks some of us were busy and not able to attend, but there was full participation through the entire voyage, all teammates. I was quite fortunate enough as the project manager for this voyage to have such a kick-ass team. We met every Wednesday evening and we used Appear-In as our video conference tool. When we were first setting things up, we decided to use Trello to throw some ideas at the wall as far as what we thought the project should be. Trello is nice and free and easy to set up for people new to Kanban, so I suggested we use that tool just to kind of get some ideas on the table. And then as the project carried on, in a few weeks in, I decided for myself as the project manager to switch over to ZenHub, which is basically, after I learned how to use some of the overkill features, it turned out to be amazing. It was basically like Trello in GitHub. And so for me, it was just a way to organize the project. I didn't subject the rest of the teammates to download ZenHub and to use it, but for myself, it was very helpful. Organize our milestone/sprints. So every sprint, basically every week, we would get together and we'd talk about the features that were required to meet our MVP, and then the items of that feature. As we carried on, I actually, as a project manager, I was learning how to break down some of those features, or to ask at our next meetings, what would it take to reach the finished state for that feature, and then try to keep breaking it down. It was interesting for me to fill up our backlog of what we were going to do that week. In our minutes, in our agenda, you could actually associate issues and pull requests to each of those items. Very handy to keep referencing back to GitHub, where all our stuff was, and to associate what we had to work on to some of those issues and pull requests. It helped that all of us were in the same time zone. I live in Canada, just north of Toronto. The rest of the team were in the US. We had one member, she was in Pennsylvania. Another teammate, he's in New Hampshire, and another teammate that's just outside of New York area, New Jersey, I believe. And it worked out really well. We were all in the same time zone, so all attending the meetings together, all being kind of synced in the same kind of work day schedule, it worked really nice. Whenever we had an issue, we'd ping each other on the chat room in Discord. It was an excellent experience overall to work with everybody remotely and to come together to build something. It was a wonderful experience. I had a very good team, I have to say. Everyone really put their best foot forward. We had a kick-ass designer, two of the fellow guys really good at the back-end stuff. Myself, I try to dabble here and there and help wherever I could as far as organizing things. Some of the takeaways that we learned, Git itself is a beast. Just learning how to create pull requests, merging conflicts, creating the remotes, that whole GitHub flow, and using Git, the tool itself. We all agreed that we learned so much on how to use Git, and especially when you're building stuff with other people. It's different if you're using Git by yourself and you're just committing, but when you're working with other individuals and dealing with those merge conflicts. And we'd set up our pull requests. You can set rules in GitHub. We actually set it up so that somebody would have to review every pull request before it could be merged. And we set up another rule that two people had to essentially review something before you could merge something from development to master. Another takeaway was React. Just learning more about the state and props and how to pass things between different components. That was something that we learned quite a bit about, and hopefully we can refactor some of our code in the future. We all expressed interest and we want to continue this project. Maybe we'll meet on a monthly basis from this point on. But yeah, we all learned quite a bit, and we really do want to push it to the next release. In the beginning, we had some excellent ideas. Our designer, Sarah, she created these wonderful mock-ups, and one of the some excellent features as far as some graphs that we wanted. We were really attached to this donut graph. We kept referring back to it. It would be really fun and interesting to make this donut graph that we had envisioned in our mock-up and an original idea. As we realized, as we were getting closer to the deadline and MVP, we had to kind of nix some of these features. What we decided was to icebox them, to just kind of archive them, put them on a wish list, and so that one day we could return to them. The core ones we thought were essential, which was basically a calendar or a heat map and a countdown timer, which we both were able to successfully implement. There's some other features like including social media, share widget, creating more tests for multiple users, creating the ability to add multiple habits. So for this MVP, we decided we would just focus on a user creating one habit and that they would track it over an interval of time. In a future release, it would be nice if they could track multiple habits. Overall, I learned a lot as project manager and being part of a great team. I'll be bold enough to speak on behalf of my team, and I think they learned quite a bit. Wonderful experience overall. I highly recommend Chingu to other people. If you're thinking about joining up, definitely go for it. You'll learn a lot, and just building with other people remotely, I highly recommend it. I hope you can check out our habit tracker, create a habit of your own. Give us some feedback in the comments below. You can hit us up on GitHub. I just want to thank everyone, all the facilitators at Chingu, Jim, Chance, the other facilitators helping us. Yeah, thanks again.